It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN, just after halfway home, the Matt Murphy Radio Show this Tuesday, January 27th. Happy to have you with us. 7 minutes precisely after the hour of 5 p.m. Central Time. Thank you for being with us, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, or Rumble, our Talk television platforms. We appreciate you. Tune in, Spotify, iHeart, our own app, Super Talk 99.7 WTN, or the good old radio 99.7 FM. We appreciate you, and we especially appreciate our next guest. He joins us on the Murphy Show hotline. He is the governor of the great state of Tennessee. Governor Bill Lee joins us to talk about the storms that have come and the state's response to said same. Governor, I hope you're doing well. First time I've had the opportunity to speak with you in 2026, so Happy New Year to you, and hope the family's doing okay and keeping warm.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for I've been listening to you on and off, and you've been putting out information that people need, and I'm really grateful for that. Certainly, a historic weather storm, devastating for a lot of Tennesseans. The damage is very widespread, and appreciate the opportunity to talk a minute.
Well, I mean, obviously, it was the coming together of a lot of influences, and we've spoken to several meteorologists about what had to come together to create this storm that they say we'll only see once in, every 50 years or thereabouts. Walk me through the preparations from your office, the various departments that you coordinated with pre-storm, and then what we're doing up until now to try to help make sure that Tennesseans are safe.
Yeah, so we knew it was coming, just like everyone did. We didn't, just like everyone else, we didn't know exactly what it would look like, but we did know it would be bad. So we declared a state of emergency in advance, early, so that all the state resources would be available. And then, fortunately, President Trump, and I'm grateful for his quick response to that, he granted that emergency declaration, which really allows us to do some expanded things and to coordinate with the federal FEMA resources. So we started early. We knew it was coming. We positioned TDOT, our road crews. We positioned National Guardsmen to provide support, which they have. We made certain that our highway patrol was prepared. So everyone knew it was coming, and we were ready for it, which was very helpful. And in fact, the response has been really good, so much so that part of the challenge right now is the county systems that are struggling to keep up with debris cleanup and whatnot. So I actually signed an executive order today that would authorize TDOT to do some work which previously could only be done by the counties. Mm-hmm. Because TDOT's got the roads in good shape all over the state, and because of that, we have resources to help counties with cleanup. So we were prepared, and the response has been really good. Nevertheless, there's still 160,000 people without power and without heat, and, it was, 5 or 6 degrees last night. It's going to be 15 tonight. So it's a really tough spot, but there is a lot of work being done. I was with linemen last night, actually, at 11:30, and they're out there, been doing 18-hour shifts, 16-hour shifts. They're working all night long. I was with TDOT workers today that are out there 24/7. So the teams are working. In fact, we've got linemen coming from other states or that are already here from other states, because we're the state that got hit the worst as far as the ice and the outages. So there's a full-on effort, and progress is very steady. We had 360,000 without power, now down to 160,000, so we're making progress.
Governor Bill Lee joining us for a few moments this afternoon, talking about work happening in his office to try to help people get their power back on, to get the roads cleaned up. I don't want to get too far away from what you just said on the radio, and I think this is news to everyone listening that you signed an executive order, and this is a big deal. And for those that don't understand it, the county municipalities have their lane and what their responsibilities are, and the state has its lane and what its responsibilities are, and sometimes those two things, those resources can't be shared. What you're telling me is that you've signed an executive order sharing state resources with counties and other municipalities to help facilitate getting debris up, which is obviously going to help facilitate getting electricity back.
Yeah, that's right. And as you know, if you've been out, and I'm really grateful to the people that haven't been out. If you don't have to get out on the roads, don't, because they are still dangerous, and there's a lot of trees still out on roads, and crews have to clean that up. And in a lot of counties, that is up to the county road crews. TDOT does state highways and interstates, but when you get to county roads, that's a county issue. And we have the resources because TDOT's been planning for it and kind of got ahead of the game a little bit. And that EO just allows TDOT to then support that debris cleanup on county roads. Hopefully that will, speed up their process and get those roads open. One of the biggest challenges is getting a road open so road crews, so linemen can get to the power poles, right? So if they can't get to the poles, and they have chainsaws of their own, but it just slows them down. So if we can get TDOT workers on a county road to clean up a passageway, then they can get power to the most remote folks that are still sitting there without a generator. Maybe they're sitting there in the cold and it's 15 degrees tonight.
Right. Well, as the saying goes, I've heard it for a long time that it doesn't matter how good the economy is doing. If you lose your job, the unemployment rate's 100%, right? So for those maybe listening to us via the radio that don't currently have power, what are your resources telling you? I wouldn't suggest that you could pin it down necessarily to, hey, everybody's going to be back up and running. But we're probably looking at, for some people, maybe a week or even perhaps longer for those folks. What are folks at the various power companies telling you, Governor, about what their anticipations are getting the power back on?
Yeah, that's hard to know because you got people in some of these rural counties that are way down the end of the line. And we know that those folks are going to be hard to reach, and it may take days to get there. A couple things I just want to give a big shout out to volunteers. There's a lot of Tennesseans who've been kind of helping their neighbors out. I've seen it as I've traveled across the mid-state. I've seen it. They're out there helping their neighbors, but there's also where people are going to be without heat for a long period of time. We have 115 warming centers that are open statewide, so people can find a place if they can have a neighbor get them transport to those spots. But we have overnight shelters, 100 of them around the state. TN.gov/TEMA has all the information about that. Those warming centers are important. We've actually sadly have 7 folks that have lost their life in this, and some of them from hypothermia. So yeah. It is a difficult spot for a lot of people. And while the crews are out there and the roads are working and the linemen are working, make sure that you check in on your neighbors. Make sure that you do welfare checks. We opened a TBI hotline to facilitate welfare checks for people who are concerned about somewhere. It's 1-800-TBI-FIND. And if a person calls that number and reports a person or wants to do a welfare check on somebody that might be in a remote area or they have concerns about elderly, whatnot, that they can do a welfare check through that TBI find and then get them to a warming center.
1-800-TBI-FIND is the number.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
In the midst of this, obviously, I think, we always learn things when a weather event pops us like this weather event has. Are we too early to have a discussion about whether or not the state and the cities and municipalities can coordinate with tree trimming and whatnot? A lot of lines go down, and I don't want to second guess. I don't want to be that guy, but we've had questions come into our radio show about, hey, why didn't we trim the trees a little better off the power lines before all of this happened, and maybe there wouldn't have been so many outages. Is that something that will happen kind of as we dissect the process that led us to the event after the fact? Is that something that you guys will talk about?
Well, the utility companies will certainly talk about it, right? They make and different utility companies are different in how they approach tree trimming. So,
right.
They'll make those decisions about and they'll learn. We learn from every one of these storms. We learn every time we have a storm how to better coordinate, how to better communicate, how to mitigate the damages. Like you said, we hadn't had a storm like this one in, 40 years or something. They don't come around very often, but you learn every time. I'm sure the utility companies will make adjustments about tree trimming. But I will say that it has been fairly unprecedented, the ability to get this many people power back in this relatively short period of time. If you're sitting in your house, it doesn't seem short. I know that. I got plenty of friends that don't have power, and and family members. So I know what that's like, but we'll all learn something. But I will have to say I've been really, really encouraged, and I've been communicating. I've been talking to TEMA multiple times a day. I've had calls from, Walmart corporate offering. I've had calls from private companies, and we're coordinating them with TEMA. I've talked to the mayor, and our teams are working with the mayors from different counties and Mayor O'Connell on how best to coordinate these efforts. So it's been pretty unprecedented, the coordination effort, and it's working pretty well. That being said, it's historic and it's a tragic situation.
No doubt. Well, and we're thankful that I mean, obviously every life is precious. We don't want that number to go above 7. But given the totality of the circumstances, I'm thankful that the number's not higher. Wish it was 0, but thankful that it's not higher. You mentioned, Governor, that you were out late last night with some of these linemen. I mean, knowing you and having met you, I feel like you probably operated a chainsaw back in the day. You could probably crank one up and give it a go, right?
I've done that in the last few days, sir. I do know how to use one, but I'm not a lineman, I'll tell you that. And those guys, I was out there at 11:30, but I wasn't doing anything. I was encouraging them and stopping by and saying, "Hey, thanks for your work." And they're up on lifts at 11:30 at night. It's 10 degrees out there, and they're cutting through ice-covered branches. It's a very dangerous job.
It is.
There's thousands of them working, and I'm really, really grateful for that. And I do want to just say thanks to Tennesseans. I've had a lot of stories, and even my own friends and family who have witnessed kind of, hey, come stay at our house. We have room. We have folks staying with us. People who have a baby, someone who's elderly. So once you get yourself in order, kind of reach out for your neighbors. And even in the midst of getting your life in order, reach out to your neighbors and say, hey, can we help you?
No, it's great advice. And anything else for the people of the state of Tennessee that are listening right now, Governor? I mean, obviously, we can't help the temperatures. I wish we could crank it up to about 50 degrees tomorrow and get all this ice out of here, but that's just something that it seems we're going to have to deal with for the next several weeks. Hopefully we'll get some melting tomorrow, and that'll assist TDOT. It'll assist the electricity crews and the linemen. But what words do you offer the people listening tonight?
Hey, you know what? Tennesseans are Tennesseans, and they step up. They're resilient. We have seen so many times whether it's a Waverly flood or Helene or tornadoes or we've seen the way Tennesseans respond to each other, and government response is great and it's necessary, and we do exactly what we're supposed to do, or we make an effort to do everything we can do, but it really is Tennesseans helping Tennesseans, and it's happening all across the state. People taking people in, people making sure that, we got nonprofits all over the state that are food banks and warming centers and Salvation Army and Red Cross, and those are Tennessee volunteers kind of engaging churches all over the state. So be encouraged. Tennesseans are doing what they do, and they're working really hard to take care of one another. Maria and I, we're praying for these men. In fact, we, with the linemen, like we're praying for linemen who are working at midnight in 10 degrees up on a pole. And I encourage people, pray for the people that are struggling and that are truly working to serve the other people around them. It's I know it works, and I'm grateful for those who act and who pray at the same time.
Well, Governor, obviously plenty to talk about from a political perspective at some other time, but I just wanted to get you on briefly to talk to folks in Middle Tennessee about the natural disaster that we're experiencing, the huge ice storm, and from your perspective, what you hope to accomplish over the next days and weeks. We appreciate your time as always. Thank you. Stay warm, and we'll talk to you again very soon.
Thank you so much, Matt.
All right, take care. There's Governor Bill Lee, and I told the governor and his folks that we would limit the conversation to what's going on right now because it is a deadly storm. I mean, there's no getting around it. I mean, for many of us who haven't lost power significantly, we can enjoy the beautiful outside and enjoy the warmth of inside. But for some people that have lost power and are very cold right now, they don't, they're frustrated. And 7 people have lost their lives. And so there's various stages of frustration, various stages of tragedy that are going on in the state. And it's good to speak with the governor about the state's efforts as best as they can lay them out in the midst of, some pretty trying circumstances, considering how cold it is, considering that it's not gotten above freezing, giving us the ability to melt some of that ice. Thank you to Governor Lee for spending some time with us. 23 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.